that excitement is almost immediately cut short when you come to think about the fact that we're not in normal times. Feels like throwing your child out there into the wild to survive. Apart from being concerned with, the pandemic and how the children are going to conduct themselves, because then you have preschoolers who will be going back to school as well. How are schools prepared to ensure all the safety protocols? So you take care of baby A. Is that time to go wash your hands or sanitize your hands quickly before you go see baby 2 when they're all crying at the same time and need attention at the same time when you have to feed? Someone has a running nose. How quickly do you conduct yourself around them, take care of the child, run to the next child? Even when kids have common cold, we ask them to stay at home. When they have skin rashes, they stay at home until they fully recover and then they get back to school. But here's the situation. That people who are, infected are isolated. And now you won't know you are infected until you're showing active symptoms or you have tested. How safe are the teachers? How safe are the school? How safe are our children? Parents are concerned about children going to school, getting the virus and probably bringing it home because you have teachers who are commuting every day in and out. You have other caregivers commuting as well. You have drivers, driving these children to school and back. We know of a number of people who have gotten coronavirus from their drivers and all. So the concerns are a lot. Apart from the school fees, that I don't even want to go there. But the concerns are a lot. It is looking as though no matter what we do, our children will have to go back to school. Monday, some people are already in school. The rest are expected to join in on Monday. So how are you dealing with this? How are you handling this? What conversations have you had with your children, the primary school ones, so they don't go trying on other people's masks? I can imagine the first day in school, people will still hug and I miss you, where have you been and all that. We're expecting children to be in mask from 8 a.m. to 4 a.m. in some schools. Take it off only when they want to drink water or eat something. Is that really possible? Now all parents are being encouraged to cook, and then get water bottles for the kids. You need to prepare them adequately enough so that they wouldn't have to go and interface too much with other people. How do we do all of these? Would like to hear from you this morning, most especially what are you doing, to ensure that your children are safe while they're out there? Home Affairs is brought to us by Dano Milk. Strength comes from within. Absa Bank Ghana Limited, helping you find a way to get things done. And you do know that we are embarking on our Arrive Alive campaign, and this is brought to us by Toyota Ghana Company Limited, Toyota Superior Quality, Toyota Petroleum. Okay, Adam, wake up. Let me take these again. If you follow us, then you know about our Arrive Alive campaign, and it is brought to you by Toyota Ghana Company Limited, Toyota Superior Quality, Total Petroleum Ghana PLC, committed to better energy. So here's our tip. Avoid all distractions, keep both eyes on the road and hands on the steering wheel. Be visible, drive with your lights on, and that's how you ensure your safe arrival. So we're getting on to the conversation in a tiny little bit. My guest this morning, Dr. Yao Safo, he is medical director for Medicare Hospital. He's the drive doctor. You listen to him every Wednesday on drive time. He's a doctor, and also, he has two primary school children. So we will be speaking to him from both POVs, his perspectives as a medical doctor, but first of all, his perspectives as a parent who is letting his children, young children for that matter, go back to school. And then we will also be having conversations with Pa Kojo Afo, Emmanuel Afo. He is a teacher with GPS International. And then we will have conversations also with Victoria Ayi Chum Jamra. She is a parent of, like a nursery school child and a preschoolers. She will definitely have to take the kids to school so that she can also continue to work. How are we all prepared? How safe are we? This morning we want to have conversations to see if we can allay our fears. And also, most importantly, probably there's something more the president and his advisors may need to know around this time. I'm not sure, but through the conversations, when we activate our phone lines on 0302216541 and your messages coming through on 05511119997, we will have some answers. All right, so we're back in a minute.
Hey, you mean a banking solution that helps you balance it all?
Yes, a business banking solution designed for women entrepreneurs that goes beyond banking.
Wow.
Absa Emerge gives you access to expert business advice, exclusive networking opportunities, lower interest rates on loans, and COT-free banking.
Really?
And exciting lifestyle benefits that help you balance your busy life. Sign on to Absa Emerge Solution today. That's Africanacity, that's Absa. Visit absa.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply.
Misika enso katia roba and also enso estate 9 now so empowerment temperature ni matwa ni zuo mi twati ya mi twa so I do cream so be dwa I'm not easy cry 3cd so dia kwa me it will be se mi share I do cream committee and am kokomu a jai that's it down grandfather
Book store. I do creamy for fry. The light blue was in saying one air swatchy. Ed, Nanny also that fem. FD, I should say, getting cracked in what you say.
My dress is who I am and how I feel. Feeling beautiful hands is essential for me. My fabrics, my pride. I use BF with pure blend of oils which keeps colors rich and the textile perfect. BF cares for the fabrics I love. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
If you're joining us, You're tuned into Home Affairs on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Adam Naite, Daniela, Dennis Fairboy, and Sule, the married man. They are all supporting me here on the production bench. My guests are ready and they're joining us via Zoom right now. I can see you, Dr. Asafo. Good morning.
Good morning, Adam.
Good morning.
Good morning to all our listeners and my fellow panelists.
Abby, you be pro.
Morning.
Victoria, good morning.
Good morning, Adam.
How are you?
Good morning to everyone.
Great. And
Good morning.
then, hey, Pakojo, I see you.
Adam, I have packed just to respond to the greetings, and then I will have to turn my video off again, and then we continue the discussion. Good morning, everybody,
Good
and
morning.
Happy New Year.
Yay.
Good
The way
morning.
you are shadowed this morning, Pakojo.
Happy New Year to you too.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy Shapa. Happy to say, not just say, Bibia the D. All right, so we're getting into the conversation, and I'd like to start with you, Victoria, especially so because you have, preschoolers to find out. Are you taking them to school?
Adam, I don't know. I can't sit here today and tell you that my mind is made up. I'm still going back and forth. I'm at the stage of hoping to pass by the school on Monday and see, like, if I'm willing to risk it. So I am in between. I'm here and there. Where actually it's a collective decision between myself and my husband, sure. But if I've managed to put him on the fence as well. So we're still. I see for myself how it's like. Oh, the school has told us we're implementing this, but children will be children. So as much as they say it, I want to. God forgive me, but I want to go and see those who are brave enough to bring their kids on Monday. I will go and see how the kids are faring in the environment, and then take a good judgment.
How old are they? How old are your children?
So I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Oh my world!
And the 4-year-old, she's got some of the COVID protocol. She understands keep your mask on. She understands. She's fascinated with the whole hand sanitizer thing. But the 2-year-old, she just she's now going to start preschool. She's actually excited. She's too excited to be in school.
Oh my God!
That you're now going to tell her what she should and shouldn't do. And how would that even end?
At 2, how much can you even say?
How exactly at 2? She's just having a good time in school. You can't. There is thinking.
Tell me, Victoria, what are your real concerns? Like, what are the concerns? What are you worried about? Is it about the protocols? What really are you worried about?
I'm worried. Should I say worried? I'm highly concerned about. I think it's the general lackadaisical behavior and attitude I've seen most Ghanaians approach COVID with, so it's hard for me to now believe that the moment we've opened school, all these teachers and their relatives, because not just the teachers, it's the people they live with, it's a long chain.
Yeah, it is. I
can't seem to just believe that all of a sudden everybody is now going to be on their best behavior
and comply.
And then suddenly when it comes to my kids and their teachers in the school, all of it, I feel like I'm not so sure it's sunk in yet for most Ghanaians. I see people out there without their mask. I don't know if they are relative to the teacher who's coming to attend to my child, my ward in school. So now that it's supposed to be, the government says, the president guys get back to school, then everybody is going to be on their best behavior when they haven't. And these are the people that the not knowing factor is what is really on my mind now.
Yeah.
So the risk is not the first point of contact. It's the fact that these teachers will go home and they'll interact with other people who probably have thrown caution to the wind and said, oh, this thing is not there. Nobody, nothing is happening. And these are the people coming to interact with my kids. They will feed my kids during lunchtime. They would touch my kids' foods. They would be completely around my child for a few hours or more. Then I can't trust that. The Ghanaian attitude, I don't want to call it the Ghanaian attitude, but what I have seen out there, I was doing some work in a part of Accra not too long ago. And when I wore my mask, the people in the community told me that, don't I trust them? And I was like, I just got here. I don't know you. You should be worried where I'm coming from. Yeah. And they said, oh, you don't trust us, take it off. If you trust us, you take it off. And these are people that are going to be interacting with my children or have relatives who will be interacting with my children. That is my main concern. I don't think our attitude is changing overnight. And these are the people my children will have to be with. So that's been my main concern.
I see a lot of worry in your eyes.
Worry.
But yes, I mean that's all right. I am here laughing and smiling, but I don't want my children to go back to school. I'm tired of seeing them. I'm tired of seeing them at home all the time, seeing that. But they have, they have online classes, and it's quite intense, So they haven't missed much when it comes to their school and academic work. But you also have concerns. You realize that even when they want to have conversations with their friends beyond being on the Google Classroom or whatever it is that they call it, they have Zoom calls, and then they are on with their friends just to chat, like just to have normal conversations. And during break, this person said this and this and this, and I'm like, oh, this is how your lives have been altered, And so a part of you is excited about the fact that, okay, they can be let out again, they can go to school again, interact with people, and, have their lives back, because children have their lives too. But on the other side,
exactly,
like I said, there is this raging virus out there. And now the stories we're hearing, yesterday I spoke to a friend of mine. He called me when I shared the artwork. Maybe we can call him on phone. He said, Edhem, don't go and have a conversation about children should go to school and we should be careful. You should use your platform to just champion the agenda that children should not go to school. And I mean, that's his point. They shouldn't, and that's what we should be talking about and drumming in. And I told him, well,
yeah,
we'll see how that goes, But in the event that, look, they have to go any which way, what are we concerned about and what are we doing? So I get the concern that the first thing you are going to do is to go to the school tomorrow, and no, on Monday actually, and see how things are being done, and be able to convince yourself or otherwise that your children are safe, and then you can make that move. All right, great. That is noted. Let me come to you, PK, if you're on the line. Hello, PK. Pakojo, are you there? Can Pakojo hear me?
Hello, Adam.
Yes,
Good morning.
Pakojo, there
I'm
you
here.
are. Good morning. Good morning again.
Good morning.
Okay. So I wanted to find out from your POV as a teacher. We're bringing the children back to school. How prepared are the schools to receive our children? And how safe do you teachers feel as well? Teachers, caregivers, the school authorities, how safe do you feel? Sometimes you get the sense that the schools are in a hurry for the children to come back to school because fees are not being paid properly, and that can also you can attest to that also. Looking at how outrageous the fees have become, people have like doubled and tripled. But I wonder why. We're all suffering in this pandemic, and then you go and double and triple and quadruple fees. It be some way. It be some way, seriously. But we're looking at the safety protocols. How prepared are we? Are you, first of all, excited about the fact that the children are all coming back to school? Are you?
Good morning to my colleagues here, and good morning, Ghana. I want to thank you so much for this opportunity. Unfortunately, I've had to park and enjoy this conversation.
It's fine.
So, Adam, I think it's most unfortunate that I'm the one to answer this question, to be sincere, because I teach in an international school system where systems have been put in place to ensure that students and teachers don't expose themselves unnecessarily. But you see, the concern is really, if you ask me, and this is my selfish mind talking, it's not really about the school fees, Adam. Neither is the concern about, if you like, some Class A international schools. I cited, your children are doing online classes. They're fine. The concern is the public good, which we all form part of. Sorry, we all form part of the public. So that if you think that because your child is not in a public school, and your child, for example, I teach in an international space, and as I said earlier, I am fine because of what we are doing in our school. But I cannot be that selfish because I will go to the market. I would have to go to the hospital. I would have to do this and that. And so we are in it. So I don't think, based on what I've seen so far, and Adam, let me confess to you. Yesterday, I tuned into your midday news, Joy FM.
Yeah.
And I said that I've never felt despondent and hopeless about a situation than what I heard yesterday from medical experts. When a medical expert or a medical expert tell you that the situation is dire, and we have one here.
Yeah.
If a medical person, those who are leading us, will tell you we are in dire times, then I don't think that asking whether children should go to school is a question we should be thinking about. I hope you understand, because
Yes, I
from
do.
the outset, we said that this is something that should be led by science and scientists. The scientists have done their best. They are continuing to do their best. But unfortunately, the Ghanaian attitude, if I should allude to what the lady said, this is what is actually spiraling, or if you like, bringing out that despondency. And so for me, Adam, my school is fine, and I believe that other schools will be fine. But the concern is that we have not, if you like, quarantined ourselves to a particular geographical location, saying that teachers are maybe in flats at the school. If you had a system like that, like a boarding system where everybody is tested and left in there and kept in there, and we all abided by the protocols, it would be very, very secure. But we have teachers who are joining public transport.
Daily.
We have teachers who are,
In and
so,
out.
look, Ellen, if you ask me, this is my professional point of view. Any child below the age of 8 should not go to school. Because you see, they don't even understand what it is. For those from class 4, class 5 upwards, they understand some issues, and I believe that responsibly we can all help the situation. But if you have a child who is in preschool, maybe 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, I dare say that even if they lose 2 years of education, we can always repair that damage. We can always repair that damage. So let's not kid ourselves into thinking that because the children have been at home for a year, then automatically we must. Let's listen to the medical expert. I believe that the gentleman on the platform, the doctor, will tell us more. I think that this is the time we should be most responsible. And for me, it is regrettable that in this space that we all find very worrying, our leaders do not have any problems with these things. We've had elections. we've had elections, and that is why a lot of people think that the virus is not even up there.
Yeah.
This is the reason. Because I read on the news portals that one member of the government or the state, if you like, had a wedding and caution was thrown to the wind. We have had our elections. I mean, we've had our campaigns. So if there is a 360 to tell us that the pandemic is still raging, the ordinary mind, forgive my word, would never believe it. Because what is good for the goose is good for the gander. But unfortunately, we are in a space where everybody should take care of themselves. That is where we are now. I think this is where I'll leave my initial comments for now.
Would you even totally blame the government? I mean, I think I heard some heads of schools talk about the fact that if schools are not reopened, they will, reopen the schools on their own because, yes, you can understand people's businesses are affected. I personally have had to, I've run a preschool for 10 years. And because the premises is not fully yours, it's a rented premises, and you haven't worked for so long, you're unable to pay your bills. And once I start getting a lot of pressure from, my land, I've had to close the school down, yeah, because you're unable to pay your bills and you've had to let your teachers go, you're unable to keep them, going, and that, so you've had to close it down. So that concern is also there. People are losing their livelihoods, people are losing their jobs, and so for that reason, you're not thinking about the effect of the virus, and we're letting children go back to school.
That's a very genuine point. But you see, so the conversation has now moved from medicine, or if you like, health, to economics, right?
It has always been about it.
Well, Adam, so the question I ask myself again, forgive my uneducated mind. We talk about people's livelihoods being lost. If their life itself is going to be lost because of the pandemic, then where is the money going? What is the money going to be used for? It is okay. It's a genuine situation to talk about the fact that people's jobs are collapsing and blah blah blah. But then, this is a situation. It is not a chicken and eggs. I mean, we cannot joke with this, Adam. So I am saying that maybe permit me to speak for once, just for once. See, you say it's your own dream. You think it is far away? I have friends, very close ones, who have actually been caught by this. And there's a reality check out there. And again, if I have to allude to the lady's point, it is the way we do our things. We have never been prepared for anything in Ghana. Never. And this is, for me, what gives me the doubt that I want to go to school. In my school, we go to school, all right. Teachers go to school. We sit in classrooms. Every teacher sits in one classroom. Children are at home, and we are teaching them. Even that, when the president gave us the opportunity to come to school, we are still not coming to school. We are asking our O-level and A-level students to come to school because they are candidates, and they are 14 plus years. And so we know that with that, they will be fine because we are using that as a pilot to see how the generality of the students will behave. So it's a situation we need to really, really, really be very careful about. Adam.
All right, thank you very much.
I don't think I want to push the economics issue, honestly. I don't want to push the economics issue.
You may not want to push it. I totally agree with you, but it's a very genuine concern. And yes, I totally understand and agree with you, Pakojo, especially on your point about the fact that even if we insist that children should go back to school, children below 8 years should still be home. I'm sure that's a vote for Victoria right there.
Yeah.
Dr. Asafo, are you there?
Yes, Adam, I'm here.
Great. Doc, you are wearing two hats this morning, as a parent and as a doctor. But let's talk about it. I mean, now be a parent, okay? Are you prepared for the boys to go?
All right, parent first.
Are you prepared for the boys to go back to school? Are you confident they will be fine?
Right. Good morning once again to all our listeners and then also my fellow panelists. Before I go and answer your question, let me just say that I hear a lot of fear, panic, and anxiety from my other panelists. And I hope by the end of the conversation, we'll be able to properly address those, some of that. When the president made the last announcement to the nation or addressed the nation, and I watched with my two boys and then and my wife. And the moment the president said the schools were going to be reopened, the boys were just bouncing up and down.
They were excited.
Jumping all over the place. Oh, they were super excited.
Oh my.
They went like, yay, running around the house. And we could barely listen to the rest of the address. It was difficult to try and quieten them down. That is just an example of how some of the children feel about the current situation, being home for almost 10 months and even doing online studies. As a parent, I share the concerns raised by my other panelists. There is a risk. We are in a pandemic situation, and it's an infectious disease and it's going around. So there is always a risk. And until we have a permanent solution to this particular virus, the risk is always going to be there. So the question is really, how are we going to live with this virus as individuals, as a society, as a nation, and then globally? Such an interconnected world. So I think that is the real question. Going back to school has a number of different factors that you need to consider. There are the school factors that you need to consider, and the schools are not the same, as my PK alluded to. He teaches an international school. We've got our public schools, we've got private schools. Schools are not all at the same level in terms of the infrastructure. And maybe later on when I put on my doctor hat and I start to talk about the risk mitigation strategies, then we realize that the infrastructure or the state of the schools also will contribute to you, parents, being anxious or being very relaxed about it. The ability of the schools to also provide some of the things that are needed for implementing the risk mitigation strategies are also very, very important. And not all the schools are at the same level. Some schools with parental support are able to do that better. But there are schools in places like my hometown, in Umboso, and other rural parts of this country. How are they going to adapt? There are places where they don't have to, for example, go by public transport to schools. So the other factors are outside of the school environment, which you need to consider. So Adjoa referred to the behavior of Ghanaians in public. So some individuals are going to have to go on bus rides. Some individuals are going to have to go by public transport, school children by public transport to schools. So then you have to consider the general behavior of the public as well before making firm decisions about whether or not it is safe to go to school or not. Considering all these different factors and considering what is happening in the country at the moment, and I believe PK alluded to the press release by the Ghana Medical Association, where they clearly state that there is an increasing case count, and the increasing case count can directly be attributed to a total disregard for and the lack of enforcement of all relevant COVID-19 preventive protocols throughout the country. And then also, secondly, the importation of cases from other countries via travelers arriving at the points of entry. And they go on to say that the situation is alarming and dire. And this is coming from the Ghana Medical Association. So this is, you take it as coming from experts. So yes, putting all of that together, for me personally as a parent, looking at my children, the preparations I know the school has made, and the steps that I'm going to take as a parent, because there's that individual responsibility, and I'll talk about that as well. I am quietly confident that to let them go to school, knowing that the risk would never be completely eliminated, but it can be managed if collectively we all do what we are supposed to do. So those would be my preliminary comments.
Doc, even under age 8 that Pakojo mentioned?
Right. So yes, children at all levels. So Adam, COVID-19 first came to attention 31st of December 2019. So we've known about it for just a year. And that's why we call it the novel coronavirus. It is very, very new. We know very little about it. Sorry, we know a lot, but in the context of knowing about diseases, the epidemiology of it, and even the pathogenesis, how it evolves, in that context, we still know very, very little. So it's been with us for just about a year. And let us be mindful of let me introduce some facts about the disease, because sometimes when we make statements, we make them without looking at the enough of the science, although I admit that we don't know enough of the science and the medicine. So COVID-19 is a respiratory illness, which is transmitted by infected aerosols. So as I'm speaking right now, I'm bringing out droplets of saliva, and that's why we are encouraged to wear the mask. So that is how the disease is transmitted. When and the portals of entry, the eyes, the mouth, and then the nostrils, this thing produces certain symptoms. But then, if you look at the data on COVID-19 in children, then the data from individual countries and a review of COVID-19 in children suggests that children are less often reported as cases rather than adults. Mm-hmm. If you're comparing children and adults, so far, children less often reported. The infection generally causes mild disease in children. In November last year, during the annual general scientific meeting of the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons, there was a presentation by the kidney group, if I put it that way. And there was one center in Ghana where 14 cases, a major treatment center where 14 cases had been reported in children, with one death. So it is possible that children can have very severe disease. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the generality, the number of cases that have been reported, and it's anytime we're doing a scientific review, you look at it in that context. So 14 cases have been reported with one death. So generally, very rare, very serious disease is rarely reported in children. Again, the role of children in transmission remains unclear, and additional data is needed to draw firm conclusions. So they need to do what we call these age-stratified epidemiologic surveys. So that's what we are talking about. Now we've thrown a number out there. We're saying, children below 8 years. Have we really done any age-stratified surveys to come to some conclusion? But the point he made, my other panelists made, was strictly about their understanding. He believes that children below 8 years, have a difficult understanding. Again, it's something that I would disagree with, because children, even at 6 years, can be taught a lot of things if the teaching is right. And if today the time permits, I'll share some material about the things that you can teach 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, and 6-year-olds. So again, there have been very few educational institutions involved in COVID-19 outbreaks, if you look at the data. And it appears that the disease transmission, even in those institutions, are primarily related to social events linked to the school or the universities, where some of these things are broken out, rather than transmission within the classrooms. One of the studies I looked at also suggests that there was the introduction of the virus in these schools was likely was the word they used, likely by an adult member of staff. All right. So the point about, yes, the teachers are going to be going to and from to the school from homes, and they might bring the disease to school is real. But Adam, as we live our lives right now, are the children in a bubble at home? Are we getting visitors to come and visit us individually in our homes? Do the children get into contact with people from outside the home? So I will be going into some of the risk mitigation strategies that individuals and then the schools can implement.
Okay.
And that is why I would not want to put any age limits in terms of the school reopening.
All
But
right.
I would say that I will send my children to school despite admitting that there are risks because we are living in a pandemic, but the risk can be managed. Are we managing it now? No. And I'll join the GMA in reiterating the call for everybody to follow the COVID-19 protocols.
All right, Dr. Osafo. Coming from you, I won't be able to, argue much because
You should.
you are part of the
But
science. You see.
I tell you, you are more than qualified to be a doctor. I mean, most mothers are very qualified to be healthcare professionals. You and I have conversations all the time.
Yes,
and
I know.
I know. So please question me.
Thing is, I have had those conversations. We've had those sessions, and
Right.
they kind of seem to understand. Unlike your children, when the news broke that they were going back to school, you had some of them saying no. You had some of them saying yes,
Okay.
yes, and you had one saying, "I don't even miss my school uniform." You know,
Maybe she has grown it.
the boy.
Right.
And the
Teenager, yes.
older sister said, "You are the reason we have to go back to school," because she says, as for online school, he hasn't treated you well at all. He will put his laptop on. The laptop will be on, so you assume he's in class. Wada,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So you
Yeah.
have to go back to school. That's by the way. But you know, some the fears for some parents is, yes, you know that generally children fare well even when they contract, COVID-19. But you've also heard
Absolutely,
about
because they get mild mild
symptoms.
disease.
But you also heard and read about a lot of accounts where young people go out, contract the disease, bring it home, infect their mothers, their grandparents, and all, and they don't survive. So sometimes the fear is
Absolutely.
yes, you're afraid that your child may even contract it in the first place. And you see, what's interesting now also is that, I mean, when I sit with my colleagues and we have conversations, the thing is, you don't know how it will treat you.
Exactly.
Everybody reacts to it differently, so you don't
Absolutely.
even want to contract it in the first place. So it's like, yes, we're crying for the children, or we're using the children in effect to say that, look, once we let these kids go out, the child can contract the disease and be running about and not even spike temperature or anything, and you, the parents, might just have it from your child, and then that may be it for you. So these are some of the concerns as well. But Doc,
Yes.
hold
Yes.
on a little bit. I'll come
Okay.
back
All
to
right.
you. I'll come back to you. Let me go back to Victoria and
Sure.
find out. Victoria.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so let me ask you quickly, maybe in just a minute or two, if your school called, PTA and was asking for your inputs on what to do to allay your fears, your concerns, what two inputs would you make? What two things would you like to see in place to relax you to want to take your kids back to school?
Adam, the first thing I would like to see
this is you making contributions to, the protocols.
Pardon?
This is you making
I
contributions.
didn't hear that, please.
Yes, I'm saying this is you making contributions to the protocols.
To the protocols.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
What one thing that I would like to tell them, what I actually is that they should. I want to see them aside the traditional things that we hear over and over again, and I'm talking like a stock illiterate. These are traditional things. You're supposed to wash your hands. You're supposed to keep your mask on. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to do that. We know this, but I want to see. This is why I want to see innovation taking place. I want the schools to convince me that they are the keepers of education. So tell me that you can massage your timetable. I want them to massage the timetable in such a way that the activities that are interactive, either they find a more creative way to manage those things that kids will spend. We can't. The thing is, it's like Adam rightly you said, what the child may bring home might not affect the child at all. But for me, for example, my mom is home with me. She's elderly and she's asthmatic. So that's also it's also on my head. I need to think. And, Dr. Asafo spoke very well about, all the mitigation methods and everything. But for a parent, and he's wearing 2 caps, so I can't really blame him. But for a mother who is not wearing any mother's cap, when you hear one child is dead.
That's it.
When you hear just child is dead, your mind is, this could be my home. Because that you feel the pain of the other parents who probably the child caught the virus in a very unassuming environment. So these things are there. The data might seem to prove otherwise, but it still proves that there is a high risk. So creativity in curriculum delivery, you should be able to move things around. You should be able to get the children to spend fewer hours in school, yet still absorb a lot.
All right.
So and then I also feel that they should come with ways of, fine. I work with the university team. We're doing what we call the shift system now. We have level 400s and level 100s in school right now. Why is it not possible that this same, I'm thinking for the 4-year-olds and the 3-year-old classes, couldn't we find a way where we have a set group of kids that come to school on particular days? That group shouldn't change, and it should be a little run group, easy to manage group. So a group of maybe 10 kids or less, where we have less contact with elderly people so that we can also manage that person's whereabouts, as compared to the normal where we have 15 children. I'm talking from a private school point of view. Forgive me, but it's not meeting up with the public school structure. But you have 3 teachers handling maybe 15 or 20 young children. When this should be the case where you have maybe you break that class into 3 and you rotate during the week. Now, I understand that some parents will say we need to get our kids to school. My issue is, after these 10 months, we found a way to manage. We have found a way. We think we don't have a way, and we thought it was going to be hell on earth with kids running around. We figured something out. We've all taught a course now. Some mothers have become teachers, fathers have become science teachers and math teachers. We figured something out, and we can figure this out as well if we give ourselves the room to be creative. Your kids spending fewer hours in school, you think you want to ship them off to get your free time and finally go back to work in your full time. Even work has adjusted in some way. Reduced working hours, working online platforms, reduce interaction time. So we can do the same in school. If I will be highly disappointed if after school reopens, business runs as it is, and all I see differently is teachers wearing masks around and washing their hands often, and kids supposedly wearing masks when we don't know whether it's their friend's mask or their own mask. And we have, and I'll be very disappointed because the holders of education should tell us that we can be creative with education and still deliver. You can down classes hours. You can get creative with classes. You can introduce more time out time inside so that there's little time spent in enclosed spaces. These are the things I'll suggest to them, which I also believe are mitigation methods. They might not be the traditional things of hand washing and scientific as we have been told over the months, but these are also ways in which we can deliver education to students in a different environment.
Right.
So, and that's me.
Sure. Thank you very much, Victoria. So, in addition to all the safety protocols, you would like to see schools become more creative with the curriculum delivery. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, my kids' school, they're doing something like that. So they have A and B. Some people will go to school Monday and Tuesday. Same group, they do Monday, Tuesday. We're told the school will be fumigated on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, Friday, you have the B go to school. But those in upper secondary, they will go to school throughout, you know. Yeah, so we'll see how all that pans out. PK.
I don't know why I'm relating so much with Victoria. Is it Victoria? Yes, Victoria, right?
Yes, Victoria.
Yes. I mean, I think that this is the time everybody has to wear their creative caps so that we find a way. I think that if we're doing an 8-period timetable per day and you print it down to 4 periods, it is still creative. So as she said, I fully agree. One of the reasons that actually gets me worried again, and I'm sure I didn't choose the right words, and that was why my friend Dr. Osafo probably came at me with regard to what I said.
No, I don't think he came at you.
No, it's just my choice of words. Please forgive me.
Okay.
I know. I mean, he's speaking as a professional. You see, I as far back as March 2020, I teach English, and I love words. Maybe because of the spelling bee. When the medical experts started talking about the fact that COVID-19 is respiratory, I knew from day one that it's airborne. But go back and look at the records. Whether as a country, as a state, we treated that disease as an airborne disease. It was well after 2 or 3 months. He may correct me if he's in the field. So, because after some time, we now heard that, now it is not just about touching or sharing. It is now the fact that if you don't wear the mask while you are out, you could still contract it. And that's why I said, okay, so why has it taken us so long for us as a state to know this? Because once it's respiratory, it means that it is airborne. And so I thought that probably we should have started looking at the issue from that angle. You know.
But I like us to focus it on going back to school.
Oh yeah, Adam,
So,
it's the same
because,
thing.
yeah.
It is still airborne, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, so-
but we're
so-
looking at now that the children will have to go back to school. What more would you like to see? What advice? What suggestions? I mean, you have said that your school seems fine because it's an international school.
We are good.
Yes.
We are good. We've actually built some more classrooms.
That's nice.
Yes, I mean.
So for the others, what more advice can you give? And then we can go to Dr. Osafo to help us with some of the protocols as well.
I think if I had a child in a public school system, I would expect the state to resource the schools very well. For example, in classrooms, you should have adequate fans, ceiling fans.
Okay.
Adequate fans. Again, can we run a system like what Victoria?
Dr. Osafo will ask you what science is backing that. But
Backing- Oh, well, I mean, basic science tells us that when air circulates, I mean, this one, even my 3-year-old boy knows.
Don't worry, I don't want to take you on.
So I think that those are the things we need to look at. Beyond that, I think that the state still has a responsibility. I'm very careful saying government. The state, as the leader of corporate Ghana and everything Ghana, should have a hold on making sure the laws or the rules are enforced. I mean, we know that it's illegal to roam about in town without wearing a mask. Adam, have you ever heard anybody who's been arrested because he was not in a mask? So I'm sure that one of the things we can also do is to make sure we enforce that rule that says that it is illegal not to wear a mask. I think that is where I want to. So, because I know that in some schools, people are still with the impression that, oh, the virus is quite away from us. So you have teachers doing their work all right. Even amongst teachers, they are not wearing masks. And so the concern is that if around this time you are not wearing mask, when are you going to wear a mask? Because you can always catch people off guard. And sometimes the response is that, oh, but there's a distance between us. I think that regardless of the distance, since it's airborne, unless Dr. Safo,
You and I should be wearing masks at this
well, you saw me, I had my mask on. but look at the distance, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So and that's the point.
Great.
I think that apart from the science, we can also use a lot of common sense to get our way out of this pandemic.
Great. Thank you very much. Before I bring Dr. Osafo in to give us all the education there is, ABSA Bank is embarking on the ABSA Bank campaign, and it says that getting a banking solution that helps you balance it all. ABSA Emerge, that's the campaign. It's a business banking solution designed for women entrepreneurs that goes beyond banking. Sign on to ABSA Emerge today. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA. Visit absa.com.gh and do remember terms and conditions apply. I want to read a few of your messages and then we will get back to Dr. Osafo. But somehow I think I'm getting relaxed, yeah? I'm getting a bit relaxed. Papa Kojo, this is just by the way. Whilst I wait for Daniela to get the messages for me. Why have the fees quadrupled and tripled and doubled? Yes, your name.
I wish I'm not the one answering this question because you see, I'm a direct beneficiary of that particular. Don't let us assume that every school is increasing fees.
They have to buy more Veronica buckets and sanitizers.
I don't think the issue is as simple as that, Adam. I don't really think so. I don't think that all schools are necessarily increasing fees. I know schools which have cut down.
Everybody has.
No.
Okay.
No.
It's okay. I have my messages now, so I'll go back to the messages. Otherwise, we'll be on this for God knows how long. Good morning, Adam. Children are going to school. Children going back to school is a no-no for me. How do teachers ensure social distancing, and how possible is it for a teacher handling one child, for a teacher to handle one child and then go? That teacher goes on to sanitize and come back to handle another child. This is from Green in Sotum. Adam, we're all skeptical about their going back to school, but come to think of it, these children are going for children's parties, not my children, Sunday school, shopping mall, etc., where they interact with people they don't even know from anywhere. So, I don't know if they should go or not. Hi, good morning. I am Benjamin in Ikropon. Please tell Dr. Osafo I am listening to him, and I just heard him say he is from Inumboso. Yes, so my boss is from there too. I'm also from Inum, and I'm very happy to know he is my homeboy. I guess he's a brother of Osafo of UG. I think you guys should just form an association. Maybe Kenansa will be your president. Then regarding the reopening of schools, I think with all the dangers anticipated, which we still need to go back to school. The children go to Sunday school in church, and some are even selling on congested streets. Let's get protected and let them get protected and go. Life must go on, and we must also pray. Adam, on a more serious note, why are parents behaving like we have not broken the COVID protocols and we live with these children? Why are we behaving as if sending them back to school is like sending them to hellfire? We complain too much as Ghanaians. Tell us the statistics of children who have been hit by COVID-19. Your panelists are just raising fears. All right. I guess I am one of them. Good morning, Adam. I'm a preschool teacher at a reputable school at Sakumono. I'm very scared for schools reopening. Visiting the schools yesterday, I don't think my other colleagues and the schools are ready for Monday. There are no special preparation to welcome learners, especially where class sizes are around 60 and above in a preschool. My name is Afra Kuma. Dr. Safo. Hello, Doc.
Hi, Adam.
Yes. So we want to get
I
into
can hardly hear you.
Yes, we want to get into the risk mitigation strategies and how we can allay the fears of parents like me so that our children
Adam,
don't go back
I
to
can hardly hear you.
Oh, hello, Doc. Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay. I'm saying that we're coming
I
back
didn't
to
hear any of the messages, yeah.
Okay, we're
Okay.
coming
All
to
right.
you now, to look at
Right.
the risk. I mean, you didn't hear any of the messages. Let me read this. The very last one I read before. It says, "Adam, I'm a preschool teacher at a reputable school at Sakumono. I'm very scared for schools reopening. Visiting the schools yesterday, I don't think my other colleagues and the school are ready for Monday. There are no special preparation to welcome learners, especially where class sizes are around 60 and above in a school." Her name is Afra Kuma. We've asked the Weekend Show to give us, some
Right.
5 minutes because this is very critical. It's not something we usually would do, but because Monday children are going back to school, we like to educate parents a bit. So they have agreed that we get some few minutes from
Right.
them. So we're looking at the risk mitigation strategies you talked about and how much more we can allay the fears of parents and encourage them to take their children back to school.
Right. So, Adam, as far back as October 2020, I was invited to chair a committee for a private school. Their school reopening vis-a-vis COVID-19 committee. So this is a school. They projected that schools will reopen sometime in 2021, and they were getting ready. It was a 7-member committee, and we had people from different backgrounds, including the state, as PK always referred to. So the municipal director of health was a member of the committee. I was a member of the committee. There were parents from different backgrounds as members of the committee. And our job was to produce a document that will guide the school to reopen safely whenever the president gives the direction to do so. And I'm going back to this example because of the last the message sent in by that you just read, where the teacher feels that the school is not ready. Another school has invited me, to give a talk or to educate their staff about this sometime next week. So that's the first thing that needs to be done. All schools ought to form COVID-19 committees to really make sure that this is not going to be a talk shop.
I hope it's not late
Whatever
now.
it is that we're going to discuss in the next... No, it's not late. It's never late at all, because this committee is going to work throughout the term and to provide guidelines, because there will be challenges once the school reopening. They need to make sure that everything is being followed up. So, Adam, let's now go into the risk mitigation strategies that I developed, we developed as a committee for this particular school. Victoria talked about innovation. We did a lot of that during the committee work. With all infectious disease outbreaks or pandemics, complete elimination of risk is impossible. So that's where I want us to start from. We need to recognize that, and then we need to adapt to fit the situation. So the concept of risk mitigation is adopted in a strategy to prevent and control the disease. There are 4 main components when it comes to COVID-19 risk mitigation: hand washing or the use of alcohol-based sanitizers, the use of face masks, and I'll talk about that into much detail. Number 3, physical distancing. Number 4, the use of cohorts. Cohorts involves breaking up the school into small groups. These days, I think on social media, or the buzzword is bubbles. You want to create bubbles so that people don't come into contact with others. So I think that you alluded to that in yours, the school that your children attend, Monday, Tuesday, one set would go, and then the school is fumigated, and then another set goes. We're using the same thing in football and in other international or professional sports as well. So if it is possible, the school can look at the use of cohorts, breaking up the school into small groups and limiting interaction between the groups. This allows for containment in the unlikely event of an infection. Some of the hospitals use this strategy as well. I remember some of my colleagues in one of the tertiary institutions letting me know that they've broken their teams, surgical teams, into cohorts to ensure containment. Because if one member is exposed, then it means we have to quarantine the entire team, meaning even if you are not sick, you are not able to attend to other patients. So cohorting, physical distancing, a very important and a simple tool in the fight against the disease transmission. It costs absolutely nothing, but it takes a lot to educate and train people to physical distance appropriately. And we're talking about a distance of at least 1 meter must be maintained. And BK was right when he was talking about aerosols, droplets, and then it's being a respiratory infection. So we believe that the aerosols will not travel for more than that distance without the effect of gravity bringing them onto a surface. So a distance of at least 1 meter must be maintained at all times among students, and then also teachers and students and any other visitors that come to the school. This is something you are going to have to repeat every single morning and sometime during the course of the day. Please, these are children. Even adults are struggling to be able to do this. So we shouldn't think that, oh, we'll say these things once and then we expect the children to be able to do so. Anytime when I back away from people, and then in my consulting room, I make sure I keep a 2 meter or 1.5 meter distance between my consulting room chair and the patient's chair, and then where I sit. People sit down and automatically they pull the chair forward towards me. And I tell them that no, there's a reason why we have to put the chair, 1.5 meters or 2 meters away from us. So physical distancing, keeping a distance of at least 1 meter must be maintained at all times. This is where the infrastructure becomes very, very important. How do our classrooms look like? Do we have 45, 65, 70? Because I've been to some of the public schools, and you can have as high as 80 in a classroom, where the teachers don't even have places, to walk in between and even inspect work and help students with their work. They can't go and stand by a student's day 80. But if you have a class size with respect to the numbers, and then a class size with respect to the physical space, to keep a 1.5 meter distance, then hello, don't throw up your hands in the air in despair, but you can think about outdoor teaching. I mean, sometime back in this country, we were condemning schools under trees phenomenon. Oh yeah, it's good. We need to build classrooms. But now we're going to go back to schools under trees. I mean, if you have a compound, and I've been to one of the schools, a heritage school,
it's safe there.
In my job, they've got big compound with trees. So you should think about having classes, on the compound, of course, shaded. You can rent tents, put the children under, so that you can do the physical distancing. Like I said, it's a very, very important risk mitigation strategy. Then let's talk about the use of face masks. I mean, definitely the older children, the JHS, the SHS, the upper primary, it is relatively easier for them to use the face mask. I have to wear my face mask for about, 6 hours straight when I am at work. Most healthcare professionals have to do that and even longer. It is not easy, but most healthcare professionals will tell you that after a while we've gotten used to wearing it for even longer periods. It is going to be a bit of a challenge for all children, but even more so younger children. But if we're going to implement the other risk mitigation strategies, then for me, my recommendation was that the children under 6 years, we can safely, when they are in the classroom and when we have adequately spaced them out, then we don't really need to keep their face masks on. But these are the same children who like shouting, jumping around, So these things are not done in isolation. If we're going to space them out, 2 meters, 1 meter distancing in the classroom, same with the teacher, and we're going to ensure strict supervision so that the children are not running all over the place, then even those children can safely do without the mask. They don't necessarily have to keep it on. But then for the others, then they have to. But then this is why we have to give them periodic breaks so that they don't have to keep the mask on all the time. We need to teach people how to wear the mask correctly and remove it correctly or remove them correctly. Most people turn it upside down. So if you take the mask, not the cloth or the fabric type, the other type that we use, it's got a wire in there, a bendable wire, a wire that's malleable. That's supposed to go over the bridge of your nose. It is not a mouth mask. We call it a face mask because it covers both your nose and then your mouth. It needs to go over the bridge of your nose, and then you pinch it to bend it to secure it so that it doesn't keep coming down, and then you have to keep taking it back up again. Most people turn it upside down, and you have that wire under their chin. The last risk mitigation strategy is the hand washing or the use of alcohol-based sanitizers. Here we have to be very careful. If you're giving children, I remember one of the suggestions was that every child should come to school with their own, hand sanitizer. Your parents should put some in their bag. I caution against that, especially for younger children, because I do toxicology as well, and accidental poisoning, unfortunately, is very, very real. I mean, these children, they're very, very, they like to explore things. So a child would easily drink one of these alcohol-based sanitizers, and the school would have a problem, on their hands, and the child can be, in trouble if he or she drinks a lot. But hand washing, the school has to make sure they provide a lot of these things. Now we talk about the innovation.
Doc, we have
Bus
just 2
rides.
minutes to go.
2 minutes, yeah. So bus rides. So I know that for some of the schools, they have bus rides for students. So all parents must ensure that any child with a cough, fever, runny nose, sore throat, symptoms suggestive of COVID-19 stays at home and not join the bus or go to school. That is where the individual responsibilities start. If you're a parent, you must know all the signs and symptoms of COVID-19. If you think that somebody is exposed in your household or your child has any of these symptoms, they should not join the bus. Temperature should be checked for every child or adult boarding the bus, because some of the teachers will board the bus as well. Anybody with a temperature above 38 degrees Celsius should not be allowed on the bus. Those with normal temperature readings will be directed to wear their face mask properly and use the alcohol-based sanitizer before they are allowed onto the bus. The bus should be wiped down. I'm not going to talk about fumigation. All these things cost a lot of money, or disinfection. You should wipe down the bus, especially the surfaces that people touch as they get onto the bus and they get down from the bus. And you can wipe it down with a chlorine solution or alcohol-based solution before they set off to pick the next round of students, and immediately they
Will they be
drop
committed
them
to
off.
doing these things daily, regularly, routinely? Oh.
I mean, the school has you see, we're talking about engendering confidence amongst parents to bring their children to school. So these are the things that the school, Victoria was talking about, she'll go and see what is happening, and then she will decide whether or not she will go. So these are recommendations that need to be followed. If people decide that they are not going to follow it, as a lot of people are flouting a lot of the directives by the National COVID-19 Committee, then we have a problem on our hands.
Doc,
we can look at things like morning assembly.
Doc, we will have to leave it here. What I think we should do, I'll have a conversation with Daniela. When you're free, maybe it could be today, it could be tomorrow. Let's probably have a Facebook live session and have these conversations and have more people ask questions so that we are able to answer the questions. Yes. So I will speak to you after here on that.
So
and then we'll see how we can set it up. Yes. But thank you very much. I also would like to say a very big thank you to you, Victoria, for joining us. And then to you, Pakojo. God bless you.
1 second.
Yes, we have to go now.
So you see, when I suggest, for example, that children under 8 should not go to school, it is not to say they shouldn't go to school at all. It affords you space to pilot with the seniors, the older ones, so that maybe after 2 weeks or 1 month, when they come,
you see whether they can join.
Again, it's possible for you to go to school with a regular temperature,
but in the course of the day.
So they should be checking it along
Yes,
the
I
line
think
as well.
regularly.
All right, sure.
Regularly.
Thank you very much. And once again, getting a banking solution that helps you balance it all. ABSA Emerge is a business banking solution designed for women entrepreneurs that goes beyond banking. Sign on to ABSA Emerge today. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA. Visit absa.com.gh and do remember terms and conditions do apply. Thank you all very much. It's been a very important morning, and Team Weekend Show, thank you for letting us have 10 minutes of your time. We're leaving now, but Dr. Osafo and I will plan and have this Facebook live session where we'll have a lot more of the conversation. God bless you, and do have a wonderful day. We're out of here for now. Bye.